In this tutorial, I would be sharing how to draft this corset blouse that Toke Makinwa wore for Vicky James' wedding. If you want to learn how to do this, then you should see this video up until the end. If you haven't subscribed, please click on the subscribe button and let us jump straight into this tutorial. To begin, I would be starting with the front pattern. The length that I'm working with is 23 inches. Yours might vary based on what you're working on. I'm marking out my lines. I've got my chest line, bust line, under bust, the waistline, and the blouse length, which would be the full length of this pattern. Next, I'll be placing my vertical measurements. On the chest line, I'll place a quarter of the bust measurement. On the waistline, I'll place a quarter of the waist measurement and deduct half an inch from what I have. On the blouse length line, I'll be placing a quarter of the hip measurements. I deducted half an inch from the waist just for it to have more fitting along the waist. Next, I'll be marking the nipple to nipple measurement, which is also called the bust span measurement. What I'm working with is 4 inches and I'm just marking that down. After that, I will be taking half of my shoulder slant and I have 2.5 inches, which is what I marked, and I connected that to the measurement I just marked out. The next thing I'll do is to draw in my armhole. This is what my pattern looks like so far. On the chest line, I'll come down by half an inch. Towards the center front area, I would also come down by half an inch from the chest line. Then I would mark half an inch across to form that bridge, that space that corsets usually have at the center front. It is now time to draw my cup. What I'll do is to mark about 2 inches above the chest line. This is to ensure that my cup is not too big. Then I'll connect all the points together. So at the point of drawing the cup, I realized that my cup might be too high if I should go for 2 inches above the chest line. So what I did was to drop that measurement by half an inch and then I connected it to the side. To finish off my cup, I'll be marking 1.2 inch inward from the side and I will draw the base of this cup. I will be labeling my front yoke. If you look at the blouse, you would realize that the front has a sharp pointed edge. Now let us create that. What I will do is to mark 3.5 inch inward from the side and I would go upward by 2.5 inch. On the center front area, I would also go up by about 1.5 inch. You could do 1 inch if you want. I would connect these 2 points together and create a curve for the other part. I will go ahead and cut out my pattern and we can now work on drafting the cup out itself. To draft out my cup, I would be needing some measurements. The first measurement I would take is the round base of the cup and I have 14 inches. I will take that measurement down. So the base of my cup is 14. Next, I would mark the distance between the bust point and the under bust and I have 3.5 inches. I know I wrote 3 inches but it is actually 3.5. I would measure how wide the cup would be. I will take this measurement on the bust line and I have 8 inches. So the width of my cup would be 8 inches. Now let us draft our cups. On my pattern, right, so the first measurement I will retake again is the distance between the bust and the under bust, which is 3.5. This line right here would represent the under bust I would mark 4 inches because I need half an inch to join to my fabric. I'll connect that line. This line would be my bust point line, right? Next, I would take my across, that's the width of the cup, which is 8 inches. I'll be adding 1 inch to that to make it 9 inches for all of the extra allowances. I'm taking these measurements on my pattern so that you can know exactly what I am taking. Next, I would mark from the center front to where I have my bust span line, and I have 3.5 inches, so I would add half an inch to that to make it 4 inches. In essence, I have divided this into almost 2 equal parts. So guys, what I will do next is to label. So I have my bust point line here and I have my under bust beneath. What I'll do is to take that on either side of the line, and I am taking 1 inch on either side. I'll connect it. I would also take that on the under bust line, and I'll be taking 1 inch too on either side of the line. Thereafter, I will be drawing the base of my cup. So I'm only drawing on the under bust line first of all. In order to finish off my cup, remember that the base of this cup is 14 inches, right? So what I'll do is to measure what I have first of all, excluding the darts that I have taken. And my total measurements give me 10 inches. Subtracting 10 from 14, I'll be left with 4 inches. What I'll do is to share 4 inches on both sides. I would mark 2 inches here and mark 2 inches here and connect. This next step I'm sharing is entirely optional. You don't have to do it. What I did was to mark the length of the original cup, which is 6.5 inches, and I tried to place that same measurement on my cup. I added half an inch to make it 7 inches, right? So I took out some measurement from there, but it's really not tangible, it's not much. So I'm marking half an inch on either side of my cup just to create a slant and make the shape of the cup more well defined. And I'm done with this cup. Before cutting out, I went ahead to label. I've got the top part of the cup here, and I've got the part that goes to the center front and the part that goes to the side front. I also put in the arrow so that I can know what part to join to what part. This is what my cup is looking like. So joining this together would give me my cup. I went ahead to use a sellotape to form this, and this is what I arrived at. I love the fact that it is even looking well pronounced. Now, because this is still paper and not fabric, that bust point is really looking sharp, but when you work this on your fabric, it will blend really well. So I love the outcome already just on paper. Now let's move to the back. For the back also, I've gone ahead to mark out my lines. I've got my chest line, the waist line, and the full length line, the blouse length, which is 23, just like I used for the front. Next up, I will be marking my vertical measurement. On the chest line, I would mark 1/4 of the bust measurement. On the waist line, I will take half an inch away from 1/4 of the waist measurement just for more fitting. And on the hip line, I will be marking 1/4 of the hip measurement. I will be joining all of these points together. For the back yoke, you can go for any neckline that you want, but for this, I will be going for a simple V neckline. Remember, the length of the yoke for the front is 2.5 inches, so I'll be marking likewise on the back. So I'm just going over to mark 2.5 inches on the shoulder slant. Then, because there will be lacing at the back, I would need to take out some measurement from the center back. You can take out 1 inch, you can take out 2 inches. I'll be taking out 2 inches on the chest line, on the waist line, and also on the full leg line. I'll connect those points together. Then I'll be completing my yoke by drawing a V neckline. Next thing I'll do is to also draw in my armhole. I would also be recreating that design I did for the front and the back. Come up by 2.5 inch from the sides and mark 3.5 inch inward. I'll connect those points together. Then I'll be marking 0.5 inch upward from the back. This part of the back would be eliminated. I'm going over to cut out my pattern, but I realized that I've not finished off my yoke. So what I'll do is to mark 0.5 inch below the chest line and finish the drawing of my yoke. After that, I'll cut this out and I would have my back yoke. It's very important to label your pattern so you can know which is which. This part of my center back would have the eyelets where the lacing will be done. So you can fix an eyelet or you can fix your loops. For the boning casing, you can decide to have 2 bonings at the back or as many as I want. Now this is what the back looks like, and this is what my entire pattern set looks like. I've got the front, no doubt whatsoever. I've got my cup pieces and I've got the yoke for the front, and I've also got the patterns for the back too. If you found this tutorial helpful, kindly give it a huge thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please click on the subscribe button, turn on your notification, and until my next video guys, stay blessed and goodbye.